Welcome back to the Navy Sports Magazine. Time to throw some light on spring football with Micah Thomas. And as somebody who literally is just about involved in a tackle on every play, with all of the targeting stuff that has been talked about, this year we're not going to have any modification of the rule. What has it been like to make the adjustment as a tackler? Because you're taught head up, go to see what you hit. More than likely that helmet is going where you're going. How have you and the other linebackers especially had to make those adjustments?
When we first got here, they started to teach us the hawk tackle. It's something the Seahawks kind of did. It talks about teaching head behind the ball carrier to prevent concussions and also prevent head-on collisions like targeting. So once we came in, we started practicing that anyway. So when you tackle behind an opponent and roll their legs, it almost does the same effect as hitting in front, and plus you're safer. So just practicing that just through games and just reps.
Has that become instinctual now at game speed? Because we know once the game starts, it's kind of a different animal out there.
I wouldn't say it's instinctual, because sometimes there are the times where you're just going to go ahead and wish for the best kind of. But if you practice, it becomes muscle memory. And if you just continue it, it'll happen in a game without you trying to do it. But there are the times where you just get the run-through mentality, just adrenaline, go through somebody head-on.
As a defender, at some point, do you hope that maybe they modify that rule, especially because you've adjusted your plane to go hit the guy, and then all of a sudden the guy with the ball lowers his crown? You hope at some point maybe they modify the rule to, I don't necessarily penalize the offensive player, but to at least take the penalty away from the defensive player.
I've been actually looking at that for years. It just seems like they're trying to change the defense, change defense, but runners going through the hole, they duck their head down to the crown of their head and nothing happens. But if we do it, it's a penalty. So I would like to see something change, but if it doesn't, we'll just adjust. That's what defenses usually do.
Throughout this spring, every defensive guy that we have talked to has talked about the pride of at times last year things got away from you all, that you all think certainly that you all could have performed better. What have you seen so far in spring football? Do you see guys trying to do the things on the practice field right now that are going to help you all be a better unit come September?
Yes, I think as a whole we've been playing very good during spring. There's always room for improvement. Honestly, as bad as we were last year, everybody can improve. It doesn't matter from the top down. It doesn't matter who you are. You could have been 4-string backup. You could be a starter, top of the defense. But we all need to improve, and we all need to look at ourselves critically, because we were the ones that kind of got us out of games, if we're going to be honest with ourselves. And I think to develop, you have to be honest with yourself. But I think people are making the right steps, and once we'll see during the summer, if people continue to work hard, run hard, that we'll have a chance.
There's a lot of pride as a player, and at times is that you just mentioned you've got to be honest with yourself. As an athlete, is that maybe the hardest part about this, is being honest with yourself? Accept the criticism that you're being given from your coaches as a teaching tool, as opposed to them just trying to personally tear you down.
At times it hurts. We're all athletes, prideful. Just kind of a part of what we do. But I think that's the difference between somebody that's going to be great and somebody that's just going to be good. You have to be able to take coaching and not take it personal. You have to develop on it and be coachable and listen to what they say, because they have more experience than us. And I think that's key to development, not taking things personal, because really, if you look at us, we were the weakness of the team, as the defense as a whole. So even during the season, it hurt to say that. For me, I knew it.
Oh, sure.
But it hurts. But you have to get better. You have to know what you're bad at. It's better to know your weaknesses than your strengths.
Is the hard part too? You're giving effort and you're just not getting the results that you're.
It does, yeah. That part hurts, because we put everything we had into games,
sure.
And it just didn't work out for us because of lots of mental errors, lots of eye violations, just people not doing their job, and that's not what you can't do that as a defense, especially as a defense like Navy. We have to be built on discipline. That's how we're going to win games. So it does hurt with how much effort that we try to put in.
At the same time, you all play against some exotic offenses in this league. What kind of challenges do they present from a preparation standpoint? Because a lot of these offenses have you all spread out all over the field.
It's hard. Especially inside backer. I'm not the prototypical nowadays inside linebacker that runs a 4-4 and is 6'4" out in the space,
sure.
covering. I'm not that inside backer. So just for inside backers personally, us spread out, it's harder to play in the box, because they have such talented runners in this league. We had Greg Ward last year. We had Quentin Flowers, Marlon Mack. All those guys are just ridiculous in space, and they can run the ball. And it's hard when you just spread them out, give them the ball in space, and let them do what they do. It's hard to game plan, because it's hard to game plan a playmaker. I mean, they're going to make their plays, but the offenses, they're great, they're complicated, but it's kind of a part of the fun, just trying to figure them out and stop them.
At the same time, you all have jumped into this league and hit the ground running. Tied for division title the first year, won your division last year. They often talk about the culture here, and what has it been about joining the league, adding that goal to what is already a steady list of goals, and you all have been able to hit the ground running here in league play with a much tougher schedule.
I mean, I think nothing really changes from independent to conference. Like you said, our tradition doesn't graduate. Our culture stays the same, and I think that's what makes us successful, that we don't change year by year. We know that our team is going to be built on discipline, effort, and just playing together as a team, because we're not going to be the biggest, the fastest, the strongest, the most highly recruited, but effort beats all of that. On a game field, it may not. In practice or in recruiting, the talent may beat effort, but on a field, effort will beat talent.
You guys obviously got a big win against Notre Dame last year. To look at how your career has evolved, to know that obviously you're getting a tremendous education, but you're playing in a football program that goes out and beats the Notre Dames of the world and is on TV all of the time. As a kid growing up, is that the kind of thing that you dream about as a young football player, that it works out for you this way?
I mean, definitely. I mean, I didn't play football when I was young, but I was a baseball player. So just thinking about just the fact of being on TV, playing big teams. I always dreamt about it, even if it wasn't through football. But it is pretty cool. You try not to think about it. You just try to go out and take each game the same.
What is it that eventually gravitated you to football?
I moved to Texas in high school.
Right.
So moving to
Can't get away from it.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Moved to Texas when I got to 9th grade, and it was kind of like, you have to play. Like the coaches came to me and were like, you have to at least try it. And my dad was like, you might as well try it. You're in Texas. High school football is like a religion down there. So it ended up working out. I'm blessed to be in the position that I'm in.
I was just say, high school football in Virginia is not bad. I mean, there's great high school football throughout Northern Virginia, Hampton Roads, places like that. But when you got to Texas, was it culture shock at first to see that you're talking sometimes 15, 20,000 people showing up at a high school football game?
It is. I mean, in my high school, we had a stadium that I think held like 15,000, and I mean, there was a couple of games in my high school career we sold out. And I mean, you would never see that in Virginia. Just growing up, I mean, I didn't even know many. I'm from the Hampton Roads area, and so there was only a few schools that I knew of. Ocean Lakes, the big names. But moving to, it was a culture shock. I wasn't really expecting it when I moved there. My dad warned me, but I didn't fully know until I actually started playing and saw what it was all about.
I was going to say, Hampton Roads area just flooded with great talent. Of course, there's still to this day the greatest high school football player I've ever seen, Ronald Curry, who played for the Hampton Crabbers over on the other side of the tunnel as well. Well, we wish you all the best of luck. Couple practices left for you guys, and look forward to you guys being in camp as we head to Boca Raton. We could be in worse places in September than Boca Raton.
It's a good place to be.
No doubt about it. Look forward to seeing you then.
All right. Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, Micah Thomas joining us here on the Navy Sports Magazine.